I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
We gotta know how many wieners are going down these dudes' throats.
I want to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
Hello, boys! We are back for another edition of the MMA Analysis. Let's just call this episode 304. I doubt it is, but we might as well call it that. First episode of the new year. Or is it the second? Actually, the second, isn't it? But really, it's our real first episode, as we'll be going into our one of our favorite episodes of the year, where we laugh at our predictions from last year and make new predictions for this year. I'm joined, as we normally are these days, by the Kentucky Sosman, Wes Colvin, and New Sean, our Canadian teenager. Wes, we'll start with you. How's everything going down there in the Bluegrass State?
It's not too bad, man. Getting into the meat of some college basketball conference play. I'm still don't know about my boys, man. Kind of up and down, but the kid Ashton Higgins, man, he might be special, dude.
What about that guy Keldon Johnson?
Yeah, that guy's a lottery pick off top. I mean, he's really good, but I think Higgins is pulling a kind of SGA, the old Canadian, our Canadian boy from last year, just kind of peaking, man. And kid's pretty good. Supposed to be a senior in high school right now too, man. He's only like 17 years old. So yeah, meet of the college basketball conference play, and looking forward to talking some fights, man. We got a ton of them coming up with this
shit ton.
Yeah, this new ESPN deal. They're pumping out the fight cards, and I mean the first few are looking on point. We'll see how long that can last. You know what I'm saying? But they're stacking some of the. I guess not just ESPN, but the pay-per-view coming up is just holy hell, man. And so yeah, there's some big fights coming up, man, for sure.
Yeah, New Sean, listen to me. Listen to this one. So the ESPN Plus 2 card in Brazil. Listen to the fighters that are on this card from Brazil. We have Rafael Assunção, Marlon Moraes, Damian Maia, Jose Aldo, Moicano, Thiago Alves. Is that as strong as... And Dubronx. How could I forget Dubronx? I mean, in terms of a fight night card in Brazil, is this as strong in terms of the talent that's being represented, overall Brazilian talent, in the history of fight nights, Brazilian fight night events?
Yeah, that's about as strong as you can get for a Brazilian fight night. That is a stacked card. You got some younger guys, some older guys. It's a bit of a mix of everybody, and it should be a lot of violence.
Yeah, it really does seem like the UFC is upping it, at least for the first few events of the year. It seems like in years past we've had some really snoozer of events to start the calendar after a really strong Q4. I think the theory has always been that the organization tries to, at least with the pay-per-views at the end of 4Q, try to really up those numbers towards the end of the year, for whether it's for to make investors happy or to meet some sort of quota. And I guess they did that as well. Because,
absolutely.
Well, Wes, you saw the pay-per-view, the projected pay-per-view numbers that UFC 232 did.
If they're close to accurate, seriously, you have two people that can draw some shit like that if they're accurate.
Now, think about this. So, the first Cormier, which is the one where there was the whole drama where Jones and Cormier got into like a fight, like whenever at the face-off. That did 800,000 pay-per-views, or supposedly did 800,000 pay-per-views. The second Cormier-Jones fight, which had its own set of controversy prior to it, was projected at around 875,000 pay-per-views. Now Jones and Gustafsson projected 900,000
with no heat whatsoever. Like there wasn't no heat. Really,
I mean, I'm
between
sure
them.
the steroid stuff helped that out.
Yeah, it was all
interest, but
it was Bones. Yeah, it was all interest in Bones rising her. There was almost a Floyd Mayweather factor to John Jones now.
Oh, I love it.
People buy to watch him. They want him to win, or a lot of people want him to fucking get his ass whooped. And that's when you've hit on something, man. That's when you had. I mean, Floyd Mayweather, love him or hate the guy. I mean, that dude's put a lock on the prize fighting game. For the past 10, 15 years. Sean's right, man. Just the whole steroid thing. Because to me, there really wasn't like a lot of beef and shit going back and forth. Even when Gus was trying to talk shit, man, he's terrible at it. He's horrible. Like that dude can't talk shit. And he had a bag full of shit. He could have threw it, John, on this one, and it doesn't come across good, man. I don't know if he seems just too likable of a guy or something, but. There wasn't no heat with the fight.
Now, do we think it's possible, theoretically, it was the college football playoff semifinals that day. The game was a blowout, the late game, right? Or relatively a blowout. Is it possible there could have been some people were like, let's keep the party going, order the pay-per-view type of thing? Or we don't think that's related at all?
Maybe not to that extent. You know what I'm saying? If it's indeed upwards of 900,000 buys,
that's a lot of buys.
That's more than
that's $50 million. That's over $50 million.
You know what I think probably had something to do just the coverage that it got. The move was actually a good thing because look at all the coverage it got.
Yeah, that's
it was like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah. It was plastered everywhere. I mean, the ESPN deal's coming up too, so it got the tenfold the coverage. I mean, they had Dana all over SportsCenter and stuff, but I mean, it was getting national coverage, man, all over the place because of the switch and John fucking popping and shit. I mean, that was huge news. I think that definitely had something to do with it. That's a big number if it's true, man. There's only a couple guys that can do it. There's only a couple guys that can do it.
Yeah, that's what is that, top 20 all time in terms of UFC pay-per-views at that number? I think it would be. I mean, I don't think there's been 20 pay-per-views that have done 1 million buys. It might only be 15 or 12.
Yeah, only certain guys have ever got upwards over 1 million. There's only a handful of guys.
Let's see if I can find that out of curiosity. I don't know if I have that number. Yeah, I do. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it looks to be about, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15. It looks like 15 pay-per-views have done at least 1 million. Tate Nunez was one of them. That was UFC 200. That was a special.
Brock has done some. Connor.
Yep. Connor is involved in the top 5 of the top 6 pay-per-views. He was a headliner involved. That is correct. 5 of the top 6, with UFC 100 being the other one. Then you have Lesnar, you have the Nunez-Rousey fight, and then you have a bunch that were between 1 million and 1.1 million. Yeah.
Which
it's
that's
everyone says St. Pierre is such a pay-per-view seller. He's not involved in the main event of any of the events that have done 1 million buys. It's actually very interesting. He has a bunch that were like in the Jones range, kind of the 800 to 1 million, but not over 1 million, which is interesting.
That's a good number though. I think
it's a great number.
That 800,000 to 1 million buys is
it's a lot of people, man.
That's a really good sell. When you get that's why Connor's still the man, because once you get upwards of 1.3, 1.4, that's a holy shit buys. So if you can get 800,000, man, you're a draw. You're a legit fucking pay-per-view draw. And I think,
I mean, honestly, anything above 600,000 is a lot.
Nowadays.
I mean, it's a lot of people.
yep.
It's yeah. I mean, I'm looking at things. Machida versus Weidman versus Machida in 2014 did 525,000 pay-per-view buys. Well, who else is on this card? Oh, Rondo was on that card, so that was a big part of that.
Mhm.
I'm just looking at some things. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, interesting stuff.
But you have cards doing 200,000 and shit now. Getting 100 is.
I mean, the reality is that people realize that John Jones is great, and people want to see greatness. It also helps that athletes are into him because they respect his greatness, and I think that really kind of propels,
Or see him fail now.
Yeah, no,
He's got the
Yeah.
Mayweather effect for sure.
But I think people recognize greatness too, and they're going to tune in because they think it's a special occasion. And
Him
that's
versus Anthony Smith ain't gonna do no fucking 800,000 buys though. I'll tell you that shit right now. It's not. It's just not gonna do it.
That'll be the test to see what.
If they can get $500,000, if he can get $500,000 against Anthony Smith though, that's a great fucking buy rate. I mean, seriously, if you can throw John Jones in there against fucking dude bagging at the dollar store.
Speaking of Anthony Smith, UFC 235. I'm looking at it on paper. I'm looking at some of the fights that are scheduled. In terms of what they can potentially put on pay-per-view, it has the potential to be one of the best pay-per-view 5-card, 5-event or 5-fight events that I can remember. If it ends up being Jones and Smith, which I don't think it might just be official now. I know there's still some things.
I think it's going to happen.
Yeah, then you'll have Woodley and Usman as the co-main event at welterweight. Probably you'll have Robbie Lawler versus Ben Askren as your third fight. You can have Jeremy Stevens and Zabit as your fourth fight. And then perhaps you'll have your pay-per-view start off with Cody Garbrandt versus Pedro Munoz in what could be a banger.
That's a hell of a scrap.
That's a great five-fight event. I mean, it really is.
Askren Lawler kind of has me worried, though, because I think that could be just an absolute snooze fest.
But they could also put Osp versus Misha Serkinov on the pay-per-view because, that's not good. I mean, that could just be a sloppy-ass brawl.
They're going to put Holly Holm on the fucking pay-per-view.
Oh,
they're going to put Tisha Torres on the pay-per-view.
They're not going to put Tisha on the pay-per-view. That'd be ridiculous. I could see Holly on the pay-per-view.
I wouldn't put it past them, dude. I would not put it past them.
So, I mean, there's a lot going on here. You have Holly Holm on the event. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, this is a pretty impressive event. I mean, they're obviously trying to make it up to Vegas for that shit show of a situation, but I mean, there's a lot to be excited about. I think this is the first time in a little bit of time where we can really be excited about some of the events coming up. That there's definitely some momentum, and obviously the ESPN deal is part of that. Pretty exciting stuff. And next week we'll get into the first ever ESPN event. It's weird because the main card is going to be on ESPN Plus, but the prelim card is going to be on ESPN. I think that's just a one-off for this occasion.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird. I mean, so it's going to be fascinating to see what kind of numbers that first ESPN event does. I'm going to predict that it's going to be over 1 million viewers for that first event, maybe even close to 1.5. It should be interesting. If it's more, God bless them.
On ESPN, the ESPN portion of it?
Yeah.
What's the fights on there? Because, I mean, it was hard to get those kind of numbers on. It was hard to get those kind of those numbers on national TV at the end.
They were doing like 2 million, though.
Yeah, you're probably right.
It could be. It's going to go over 1 million, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely.
It depends how much farther it goes over. We'll see, and then how that compares to the actual the February 17th ESPN event, which Nagano is fighting Velasquez. as good as the main event that we'll have this year in terms of excitement. That's in Phoenix, which is also really interesting. But let's get into
marinara, baby.
Yeah, let's talk about 2018, our predictions, and what we're looking for 2019. So every year, I think dating back to 2015, so this will be our 5th year doing this show. We've predicted who we think will be champion at the end of the year, and then look back at who we predicted would hold the belt and look ahead. So I guess we'll start with the women's strawweight division. So I'll say that I was the only one of the 3 that predicted Rose would still hold the belt. I mean, part of that is because she didn't fight, really, except for Joanna.
Yeah, barely held on to that one.
It looks like Brad was on the show last year, so that was exciting. Brad thought Tisha Torres, never got close. Sean said Jessica Andrade, and Wes said Jessica Andrade.
We're going to miss it by a couple months.
Yep. We got a hog situation.
Yeah.
Well, a hopeful hog.
A hopeful hog. So, is it safe to say that we're going to all agree that Jessica Andrade will be the champion at the end of 2019?
Nope.
No? Oh! So I think Wes and I are going to say Andrade will be the champion at the end of 2019.
Absolutely.
And new Sean, what is your prediction?
I'm going to go with Wes's girl, Tatiana Suarez.
That's a good one.
Oh. You're assuming she's going to get a title shot by
I'm not sure she's going to get a title shot. That's why I
think it's got to be late in the year. I mean, she's really only one fight away. She beats one more chick. She's got to get a title shot.
That's still my breakout girl again this year, though. I got that down, but I'm not sure if she's going to get the shot.
She's number 3 ranked in the division. She's
not
no breakout. Come on, Wes. You were trying that shit last year too.
I'm just not. I think it's still a tough fight too. I think her against Andrade is a really tough fight. So
that wrestling is just
ludicrous.
She's great, man. If there's one girl that can do it, it's her, dude, for sure.
It's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick because I could, there is a crystal ball where that image can happen. But we'll see it because a lot of this, as you guys know, has to do with bookings and if bookings actually happen, and that is always the issue. What if someone wins, somebody gets hurt? Well, let's say hypothetically Rose wins and then goes back into the abyss and fights again in like November and
ends up rematching her again or something,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have no idea. So that's the problem.
But it's a good pick. That's about the only other person.
Yeah. It was either going to be Andrade or Suarez for me.
Or Rose retains. That's the only other.
Yeah, there's only 3. Yeah, there's only 3 picks here. I think Andrade or Suarez would beat Rose next time out. That's my thoughts anyway. I think either one of them would beat Rose next time out.
Now, do you guys want to do the breakout fighter for each division now, or should we?
No, we'll do that at the end.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, you want to stick with the champions predictions? Okay.
Yes.
Now, women's flyweight last year. Remember, everybody's maybe the least. I'm going to say when it's all said and done, when we're old and maybe MMA is banned in the United States, I'm going to say that Nico Montano will be the least respected, and the least known champion in the history of the UFC.
Oh shit!
Remember, she never defended her belt. That she beat Roxanne Modafferi to win. Remember that.
She hasn't fought.
Yeah, she hasn't, and yeah, exactly. She has not fought.
Yeah, she's only had exhibition fights. That's it.
Yeah, she won an exhibition fight against Roxanne Modafferi.
Yeah, decision.
We all predicted that Valentina Shevchenko would be the champion at the end of 2018. That is a correct statement. Yep. We are all correct. Now, I will tell you that Valentina Shevchenko will be the champion at the end of 2019. New Sean?
Yeah.
Agree with that statement.
There's no one that can touch her. It's kind of a waste of a division. It's going to be the new featherweight, just not as dominant with finishes by Cyborg. It's a waste of time, but I guess we'll keep betting Shevchenko.
And Wes, I'm going to assume that you're a Shevchenko believer, and you believe she'll have a long reign in this division.
Yeah, I mean, this is the division of, the Jessica Eyes and Mooka Gins and Alexa Davis. And I mean, Roxanne Modafferi is ranked 7th in this division. I mean, yeah, come on, man. I don't really know. Like, cut out divisions and shit, and this is the stuff we have running around. It's just, I think we've all said it, we'll keep saying it. Do all these fights on Invicta and just give us the title fights on a pay-per-view or something, That's the model they should go to with most of these women's divisions. No offense or anything, I'm pro-woman and all.
I'm pro-woman and all up there.
I am.
Women's
sucks.
Women's bantamweight. Again, we had a consensus. We all believed that Amanda Nunes would be the women's bantamweight champion.
Yeah.
And we were all correct. I will start with Nushan. Will Amanda Nunes be the champion of the women's bantamweight division, which I guess is now... I think it's fair to say that women's bantamweight is the crown jewel of women's MMA. I mean, considering the champions that they've had over the years, I think that's fair, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fair. I mean, I like the extreme top of the strawweight division, but
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I got Nunes. I think she'll defend twice, with the featherweight getting defended once.
Really? You
Yeah.
think she's going to defend both?
I think she'll defend both.
She'll fight old girl once up at featherweight, I think.
Anderson.
Anderson, yeah, Megan Anderson.
Oh,
They'll make that fight.
Yeah, so then I think she'll probably fight Holly, who I think she'll beat, and then maybe she'll fight one other chick, but I think it will be a fairly easy retaining year for her. I guess we'll see.
I actually agree with you that she should have to fight Holly, because I think she's the only one that she hasn't really fought yet.
Yep.
Wes, what do you think here?
Yeah, I mean, Nunez is the baddest chick on the planet. I mean, straight up. Even though I said last week I think Cyborg fought one of the dumbest fights I've ever seen her fight, and I really, really think that that's the best fight that can be made in all of women's MMA. Seriously, as a rematch of that, because I would hope that Cyborg wouldn't fight that way again. And I mean, it might turn out the same exact way. Amanda Nunes is a badass chick, but there's nobody touching her, man. Especially down there. I mean, she's got power at both weight classes. It carries up and down. So, yeah, I mean, I just don't. I think she starches Holly. That's probably the fight, I guess, down there, and they're gonna make the Megan Anderson fight on the other spot. She'll probably get a title shot off of a toenail to the eye. I don't know if we've ever seen that before, but that's probably what's going to happen.
Wes, you see how many points this kid from Marquette scored in the game against Creighton tonight?
Yeah, last I checked, I think he had 50 or something, right? Was it 40 or 50?
He finished with 53 points.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, he had 50 last I saw.
Anyway, I just had to mention that. So I'm going to agree with my two co-hosts. Amanda Nunes, until proven otherwise, is the best bantamweight fighter in the world and will retain her belt. Although Holly is interesting, just from a strategy standpoint, that could be interesting, but she should retain, even in that scenario. Women's featherweight, on the again, the last women's division we will go through here, because they're definitely not creating a 155 division. We had a consensus for Cyborg, and we were right until about 2 days before, and we were all wrong. Amanda Nunes is the first ever two-division women's MMA, or UFC women's MMA champion. Okay, then. Yeah, that's fair. That's completely fair. 2019, this could be interesting, right? New Sean.
Like I said, that that division's a dumpster fire. It's going to be, who knows? They might close it. I think your options are vacating it or Nunes. I'll take Nunes. I think she defends once and beats Megan Anderson.
All right, Wes. Are you in agreement, or are you going off grid here?
Yeah, I think they scrape one more fight out of it and kind of play up that double champion kind of angle. You know, she defends both belts in a calendar year or something like that. And I think that's probably going to be it of that division because there's really nothing else you can do with it.
My prediction is that they're going to abandon the division.
Vacancy.
They could. Yeah, they could. They could.
It will be vacancy. That they will close the shop as Nunes, as they realize that there's no need for a women's featherweight division without Cyborg, and their new prize fighter can fight at women's bantamweight where there is actual competition. So there's no need for women's featherweight, which they only have 6 fighters on the roster to begin with.
They
so
only made it for
Cyborg.
I mean,
Exactly, and now she's been exposed. So there's no point in having the division anymore. So it will be vacated, and they will abandon the division, and there will only be 3 women's divisions in the UFC. So abandoned division is my prediction. Moving on to what should be a little more interesting discussion, the men's divisions. Flyweight. So I said that TJ Dillashaw would be the flyweight division champion. Brad said TJ Dillashaw. Brad will not have a pick this year, apparently. Demetrius Johnson was New Sean and Wes's prediction for the end of 2018. None of us are correct, although
Crazy.
Brad and I may happen to be about 2 weeks early. So, New Sean, with Demetrius Johnson gone, rumors of the division potentially closing, Henry Cejudo currently the champion facing TJ Dillashaw, you got a lot of options here. How does this end on December 31st of 2019?
This is a wild one. All right, it's going to be vacant.
Vacant or abandoned? They're two different things.
It's going to be abandoned because there's going to be no flyweight left. But the way we get there is Dillashaw doesn't make weight. So Cejudo's not going to fight him. Supposedly he said that if he's even 0.1 pound over, he's not fighting him, and he'll fight Benavidez. So Cejudo's going to fight Benavidez. He's going to beat him this time, and then they're going to close the division.
So Henry Cejudo will be the last champion,
but it won't
flyweight
be a thing.
champion, and then he'll be forced to move up to bantamweight. That's your prediction.
Yep.
Okay. Plausible. Wes?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you got to say that there's not going to be a champ this time next year. I guess it's still hard for me to believe that they're going to do away with. I mean, this is a pretty talented division. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, if like Sean said, if TJ makes the weight, I like him against Cejudo. So I mean, I guess he has the belt, but it's vacant next year. If everything's true, they're doing away with the division. So
I'm going to agree with Wes. So this is going to be a consensus for abandoned division. But I think Dillashaw will make the weight, and he'll beat Henry Cejudo, which I guess we'll talk about next week. And TJ Dillashaw will be the champion, and at that point they'll close up flyweight, and he'll just have the bantamweight belt. So abandoned division.
Where there is challengers.
What is that background sound, though?
No idea. Wes Wes is hanging out by a fan / his headphones suck.
Yeah, it's probably my headphones.
I don't know how that's possible, but yeah. Anyway, bantamweight division. Bantamweight division. I said T.J. Dillashaw. Brad said Jimmy Rivera. Sean and Wes said Marlon Moraes. It seems like they copied each other a lot. I guess, again, I was the lone predictor here. And Jimmy is nowhere near to the discussion. And Marlon Moraes, it looks like he's he's one fight away from a title shot.
Marlon Moraes wasn't even in the UFC at the end of last year, correct?
No, that's not correct, I don't think.
Yeah, he was in the UFC.
Did he have a fight before that?
He had a close loss in the UFC, remember, and a win.
Let me take a look.
I thought that was like a...
Marlon Moraes.
Maybe it was the year before that I... he's been fighting in the UFC since 2017. Yeah. Oh, okay. It was the year before. I picked Moraes to be like a breakout star the year before, and he wasn't even in the division.
Right.
But
that was a weeks after he KO'd Aljamain Sterling to give Sterling his first ever... it wasn't his first loss, but first time Sterling was KO'd.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is that. Okay, so we got Dillashaw facing Henry Cejudo coming up. Cody Garbrandt's facing Pedro Munoz. Rafael Sunsau's facing Marlon Moraes. Dominic Cruz have a fight? I forget.
He's having shoulder surgery now.
Yeah, he got hurt again.
He's out. Lineker has a fight coming up. There's a lot going on in this division, and a lot of young talent. So, Sean, where do you see the champion being at the end of 2019? You can get creative here.
I'm sticking with my pick from last year. I'm going with Marlon Moraes. I think he gets by Sunsau in a close fight, just because Sunsau is a fucking horrible guy to look good against, unless you're T.J. Dillashaw. In the second
first
fight.
time they fought.
Well, and then I think he gets a fight with Dillashaw, and I think he beats Dillashaw, and that's it. Two fights in 2016, maybe. I don't know. That's not very much, but
maybe in 2019
or 2019, yeah.
Wes.
Yeah, I'm still on kind of the same path as Sean. You guys know how big of a Moraes fan I've been for a while, and man, the dude's really good. Now, I would still say Moraes if I hadn't seen like TJ the past year. I think that guy's like legit. Like TJ is a legit, like great fighter. I think Moraes is right there too, but something just tells me TJ's stand up is a little bit better and stuff, and I think he could beat Moraes still at this point. So I'm still going to say TJ, but man, that's a close fight. I think that's the best fight in that division, and I hope we get to see it. I hope Moraes takes care of business. I think he will, but like Sean said, that's a tough guy to look good against, and I just hope that he gets a definitive win there, so there's not any bullshit about giving him a title shot if TJ gets past Cejudo without problems, or even if he doesn't, no big problems coming out of that. So, I still think Bryce is right there. It's a hard pick for me. What I've seen out of TJ the past year, man, that guy's great. He's a great fighter, man, and I respect that dude now.
He's definitely a very good fighter. Like I said, I think he's going to get by Henry Cejudo, but he does turn 33 in February. I'm going to say that he's going to start to slow down a little bit, especially these smaller weight classes tend to see that a little earlier in age. Marlon Moraes, only 30. I'm going to join Sean on the Marlon Moraes championship pick.
Tough.
So that's my pick. It's not this. I think is one of the more difficult divisions to predict, just because there's so many different people involved, and this division could go in a lot of different ways. I mean, would it surprise anybody? Cody Garbrandt could be involved in this conversation somehow, especially if Dillashaw loses a title. Obviously, Rafael Sunsau. There are some young guys as well.
Give John Lineker a shot at one of these guys. I mean, it could happen. It could happen dude, any night.
You got John Dodson around. I mean, there's a lot of
Pedro Munoz. I mean, that division is so loaded, dude. Peter Yan down there. I mean,
Peter Yan absolutely is a possibility as well. Anyway, maybe we'll get to him in a little bit. Featherweight. This one, I had Max Holloway. Nushan and Wes had Max Holloway. Brad thought Brian Ortega. So Max Holloway, as you all know, is the champion and quite frankly hasn't really been challenged. But now there are concerns about the weight and what happens moving forward. So this gets interesting. Nushan, will Max Holloway still be in the featherweight division at the end of 2019?
That is a good question.
Come on.
I don't think so.
Come on.
I think he moves up to 155. And we know how much the UFC likes to do the whole interim title shots, and then eventually we'll probably make Max drop it. I don't know. It's this is an interesting division. I think obviously he's the best fighter, and if he continued to fight there, it would be an easy pick. But if he doesn't, there's some options there.
Come on, give us a protection.
I'm going to go off the board. I'm going to go Volkanovski because Holloway drops his belt.
Wow, okay. That wasn't one I was expecting to hear tonight. Wes, are you going to be going with the Australian? Are you going with the Hawaiian? Or you have something else altogether?
No, Max is going to have this belt at the end of the year. He made weight for that Ortega fight about as easy as he's ever made it. Looked great doing it. Said the whole time, I'm staying down here and creating a legacy. I think there's a couple fights that he might take at 155. I'm not sure he'd drop a belt and stay up there right now. But I mean, a champ fight with Khabib, of course, a money fight with Conor. I don't see Conor fighting out. There's reports out there tonight, credible reports that Conor's in negotiations to box fucking Paulie.
Again?
So that's, I mean, not legit, like from legit sources that he's probably going to box Paulie. That's probably going to be his next fight, which, I mean, it's smart. He can go box Paulie and make fucking $10 million, you know. But I think Max is staying down there, man. If he'd had a really bad weight cut again and stuff, I think there'd be some more talk. But there's some fights down there too. I mean, like Sean said, Volkanovski, and if Moicano gets past Aldo, that's a big fight. I mean, that's a really big fight to make with Max. If Moicano goes down there, and which a lot of people think he will at this point. If he goes out there and puts Aldo out or something spectacularly, I mean, that's a pretty good fight to make. So there's still a couple fights, I think, for Max down there. If Zabit has, you know, a couple more good ones.
Yep.
I mean, there's some fun fights down there to make now. So I think he stays there. And he beats all those guys, though. I mean, that's the thing. Those guys ain't close to him. I love Volkanovski. I had a chunk of money on him against Chad Mendez. And he's just that dude's gonna get styled on by Max, man. I mean, Max is a great dude, but he's gonna be at 155 eventually. I think there's just gonna be nothing left for him at 45 eventually, but it's not gonna be this year. He'll still be the champ.
Okay, I'm gonna say Max Holloway too. I think there is a possibility about the 155, but I don't. By the time this all materializes, I don't see the belt being vacated. So I'm going to say Max is still the champion. I'm honestly struggling to see who he's going to face next at featherweight. It doesn't seem like there's a clear picture.
Moicano.
I guess if Moicano
win, yeah.
But what if he doesn't? What if Aldo wins that fight? Then what happens?
Then he goes up to 155.
Volkanovski. You can do the Volkanovski fight after beating Chad Mendez like that. If they had to, they can make that fight.
Frankie Edgar doesn't have a fight lined up, eh?
Yeah, I mean, there's guys to fight, man. I mean, Zabit's got a quick fight coming up.
But Holloway's a guy who could fight often enough that he could end up that he's maybe the rare fighter who could actually fight in, like, he could take a lightweight fight and then also fight a featherweight like 2 months later.
His performance against Ortega, man. I mean, watching it back, like, there's so many like videos now I've cut up, like the one I saw a couple of days ago of him like taking fucking Ortega's hand and putting it up towards his fucking chin. It's like, dude, I'm throwing the right. Put your hand up. Like, have y'all seen that?
Yeah.
Like, some of this shit is just, that dude's amazing. That fucking guy is amazing, man. He beats all those dudes down there, man. There's not many guys that beat him at 55, I think. Like, I mean, there's a couple, like, wrestlers that could give him problems. Like Khabib, of course, but, I mean, could you imagine him and fucking Ferguson, though? Like, holy shit. Like,
it's probably the number one fight I'd want to see if they made it tomorrow.
Yeah, there's some insane fights.
It'll be a wild fight. Just the volume.
Yeah.
So insane. Like, it would just be dudes throwing the kitchen sink at each other. It would be amazing.
He's too technical for Ferg, though. I'm telling you, the guy's special, man. Max is one of the best strikers I've ever seen in MMA. Mm-hmm. That dude is incredible, man.
Should be fun. Definitely an interesting year in the featherweight division. Now I guess what we're looking at is the MMA's crown jewel division, lightweight. We all said Khabib would be the champion in 2018, at the end of 2018, and we all nailed it. The Russian Savage, the Eagle, the Dagestani Kid, champion and not challenged once again. 2019 could be interesting. When's he going to fight? Who's he going to fight? There's nothing on the table at this point. New Sean, what happens?
It's hard for me to pick against Khabib with how just amazing he is and how little he fights. It's kind of a combination of both, so we're not going to see too many title defenses, I doubt, and he's just unreal. I think his next fight's against Ferguson. I think after seeing the maulings he's done, I think he puts away Tony. And then I don't know who he fights after that. Like, he fights Poirier maybe, but I really only think he defends twice this year, and especially with all the bullshit that is still surrounding the whole melee with Conor. He's probably only going to get two defenses in this year, so it's pretty tough to pick against him.
All right, Wes.
Yeah, I'm not even sure he's going to get two, depending on how long all this stuff drags out. It might.
Who knows? Suspension. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the deal with the suspension? We've heard
I don't know. They just keep
that.
delaying the meeting
yeah.
and all that bullshit. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the problem, is the delays and the delays and the delays, that he's not even going to know what all is going to come out of it even yet. So you might only see him once, maybe in the fall or something. So who knows there? But I mean, there's really only one guy that I guess even gives him that, a decent fight, I guess, and that's Ferg, of course. But I don't see it, man. I love Tony, and he ain't got shit on Khabib, man. Khabib is one of the most dominant fighters that sport's ever seen, and Ferguson's not going to do it. Poirier, I mean, any of them, they're all in trouble, man. You can't name me one guy on that roster in that division that's going to give Khabib problems. There's not one. You can't name them. So, yeah, Khabib's the champ. At the end of the year, Khabib's the champ for as long as he gives a fuck, because that dude gets a lot of money from a lot of other places. And I'm not sure how important most of this shit is to him too far into the future. So enjoy him while he's here, because I really don't think it's going to be too much longer.
Yeah, this is our 5th year of doing these predictions, and it will be the 4th out of 5 years that I will say that Khabib Nurmagomedov will be the champion at the end of the year. 2020 could be a different discussion, as Wes alluded to. I agree that I don't think he'll be fighting for too many more years. And I think there is a small possibility. I'm not going to say a small. There's an actual possibility that he retires undefeated. And be one. I think he would probably be the only championship caliber fighter, if that happened, to retire undefeated. Which obviously would put him in a special elite category. But there's a lot that could happen. If what's going to happen with Khabib's suspension, who's he going to fight? There's a lot going on. So this is not the easiest thing because there's always the strip potential too if he doesn't fight. But I'll say Khabib as well. Welterweight, the current champion is once again. Well, there's actually two champions.
Yeah,
not really.
Tyron Woodley and
not anymore, son.
And the stripper man, Colby Covington.
The crybaby.
I said that Rafael Dos Anjos would be the champion, and that doesn't look very good. Brad said Rafael Dos Anjos. Wes said Kamaru Usman. Nushan said Kamaru Usman. Usman will be getting a title shot in March over Covington. Nushan, who win? Oh, I'm not going to say who wins. Who is the champion of the 2019? Could Woodley go another year as champion?
He could. I don't think he's gonna do it though. I'm going with my boy Usman. I picked him last year. I'm picking him again. I think he gets it done. And that guy's a beast, man. I know some people shit on him because he can't finish, but that guy is a smart fucking fighter, and he has the tools to beat pretty much everyone.
He is Khabib. Yes, Wes.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time. Usman's the kind of guy you want your money on. I don't care if he doesn't finish fights. I mean, RDA was a fucking extra and fucking Walking Dead by the end of that fight. If that didn't finish a man, then nobody was getting finished that night. I mean, he put a beating on that dude. I'm with Sean. And what even makes me happy about this is Colby Covington like runs around with Dana White fucking sucking his balls all these months, and then he just like snatches his belt, says, "Nah, kick rocks, motherfucker. You ain't getting this title." That is so good. But I think Usman wins that fight. I think he's champ by the end of the year. You'll probably do the if he wins, which I think he will, you'll probably do the Covington fight later on in the year. I think he beats Covington as well. As far as with Woodley, I mean, we'll talk about it when the card comes up, but I just think he's a younger, kind of fresher guy at this point. They're a lot the same, but Usman's just a little bit better in areas than Woodley, I think, and a younger, fresher fighter means a lot in this sport now. With it as close as it is, a little bit less miles on the tires means a whole lot in the sport. So, yeah, Usman's going to get his title, and I think he'll be champ at the end of the year.
Yeah, welterweight's a really interesting division because there's a lot of ways this thing can go. A lot of fighters with similar attributes. Covington and Usman are quite similar. Ultimately, what they bring to the table, which is really a grappling heavy approach, kind of like Askren with a pretty good gas tank. And then you have Woodley, who's also a really good defensive wrestler with huge knockout power. And you have those guys, and then you have a bunch of kind of do a little bit of everything guys like a Dos Anjos and Robbie Lawler. Stephen Thompson's a striker. Till's a striker, so it's a pretty interesting division, and it can go in a lot of different ways. But I'm going to agree with these guys. We're going to make it a consensus for Kamaru Usman. So my reasoning over Woodley is that the reality is that Usman has a better gas tank, and the longer this fight goes, unless he gets clocked and finished by Woodley, I think Woodley's going to really struggle in the championship rounds, keeping up with Usman's pace. And he's going to slow down, and then Usman will take over with either volume, or he'll actually take Woodley down, which I don't think Woodley's been taken down. And he's got like some ridiculously high takedown rate. It's very close to 100%, but this could potentially be where that happens. And the Covington fight's really, really interesting and actually worries me a little bit, just because he's facing a guy with also a really good gas tank. But those, I think, are the two fights. I don't see a third title fight happening this year in this division.
The margins with those three guys are so close. It's so interesting, man. Like you said, their styles are very similar, but Woodley's got a little bit bigger power. Covington's got a little bit better wrestling for MMA. I think Usman's all-around stand-up game is a little bit better. So it's like just the factors into those combination of fights is pretty awesome. I think that's a few good fights we could have in that division over the next 18 months if, it all works out, which in this company that never
and then the wild
happens.
card, and then the wild card's Askren. How good is he really?
The
Lawler fight sets up really well for him just because of, it's only 3 rounds as well.
That's not going to show us anything, in my opinion.
No, it's not.
Seriously, they gave him a guy that he's absolutely going to go out there and take down and sit on top of him for 3 rounds.
But a Covington fight would be fascinating.
Yeah,
because they offer the same thing, really.
It's like I said with Usman against Woodley, though. I think those guys are. Covington and Usman are just more younger, new age fighters than Askren is. I think Askren's wrestling's, probably the best there is in MMA, but those guys are good enough to get it to where they want, and their hands are far superior than Askren's hands. I mean, far fucking superior.
Especially Usman.
So, yeah, Covington's even, and I think Usman's above Covington in the striking department for sure. And I think Covington's hands are better than Askren's. I mean, that dude's always been about the same, kind of pump out a jab, fake a overhand just to get in and take you down, which works for him. I mean, he's great at it, but I mean, it's interesting, no doubt, because I mean, if he gets him down one time, he's probably going to be on you and get around. So, it's definitely interesting for sure. There's some other guys up there. I mean, don't forget about we still got Pontoon Boat up there, and there's some guys. Gunner looked pretty good last time out. He's a little bit of a
Masvidal.
Yeah, Masvidal's always fun. So yeah, it's a fun division. Pretty good stuff.
Middleweight current champion is Robert Whittaker. I said Robert Whittaker would be the champion. Wes said Robert Whittaker would be the champion. Brad said Luke Rockhold.
Ooh, wow.
New Sean said Kelvin Gastelum.
Ooh, he's
maybe a couple months early. All right, New Sean. Interesting division again. What do you think here?
I'm gonna take the style bender.
Nah, he's going out on that limb with me, ain't he?
I think regardless of who wins between Gastelum and Whittaker, I think Adesanya, obviously, I think he wrecks Anderson Silva and they give him the next title shot. The only thing I worry about is what they do after Adesanya beats one of those, either Gastelum or Whittaker. Because if they throw YOLO or Weidman at him,
he's in trouble.
Yeah. I will hope that those type of fights don't happen and they do a rematch with Whittaker or I don't know, something else. Hopefully they don't throw YOLO at him, but I'll take the style bender.
All right, Wes, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on that limb too. With style bender, but I need some things to work out in my favor. Cause I think that Gastelum is a worse matchup for him than Whittaker, but I think Whittaker's going to beat Gastelum. So I need that fight to happen. Cause I think that is more of a kickboxing match. Whittaker's not going to go maybe push a takedown as much as
Gastelum can do that.
Gastelum would if he gets caught with something, and I'm still not Adesanya he's improving leaps and bounds when it comes to that department, but he's not there yet. But I think he can beat Whittaker. I think Whittaker's got like I said, a lot of miles, man. Whittaker's starting to get he's starting to get fight
Those
age
wars
on
with
him.
YOLO is not for the faint of heart.
Yep, those are like when you look back and like, man, yeah, those cost me like big time. I totally agree. So Adesanya's just fresh, man. That guy's he's a different fighter. Most of these guys haven't fought dudes like him. You don't see his style in MMA every day, and he's crossing it over nicely, man. So I think he can get Whitaker, and if he fight like Sean said though, I mean, if he fights YOLO or somebody like that, he could have some problems, man. But I'm banking on too that like YOLO doesn't fight the smartest fights, Weidman doesn't fight the smartest fights, and most of these guys now, they're great wrestlers. It's something about all of them, man. They get in the gym and get their hands on some pads and start getting good boxing and striking and shit. They all want to use it. They all think they can knock people out. So, but it's going out on a limb a little bit. I think he will get a shot though. He's going to style on Anderson, and man, he's just a star. So, I don't think the UFC can be dumb enough to fuck up not getting this guy in the brightest light. So, I think he'll get a shot. If it's against Whitaker, I think he wins. It's a roll of the dice the rest of the year, but I'll go out on that limb with Sean Stylebender.
Yeah, the Whitaker-Gastelum fight's interesting. I actually think 5 rounds favors Robert Whitaker. Gastelum, as we saw in the Magny fight, can slow down a bit. Obviously, his physical shape is a question mark. Definitely some concerns about Whitaker long term, even though I think he's only 27 years old, somewhere around there. But those Romero fights definitely did take something out of him. There's no doubt about it, especially this last one. Took a good amount of damage. I have to wonder if you can take the same kind of knockout, type scenario. Fight in Australia should play to his factor, just being comfortable in that scenario, crowd behind him. I think a close fight's definitely going to favor him to potentially take a decision if it goes that route. So I think Whitaker wins that bout. Adesanya wins against Anderson. And then I really think that of all the top fighters in the middleweight division, like the 5 or 6 top guys, I think Adesanya matches up best with Robert Whitaker.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I remember seeing the Stephen Thompson Robert Whitaker fight, which I believe was Whitaker's last fight at welterweight, and he got completely exposed against a technical striker with a high striking acumen, like Stephen Thompson. I think that's what would happen against Adesanya. I think Adesanya would just technically just land jabs and just pick him apart on the feet using his length, and I think he would KO Robert Whitaker and become the middleweight champion. And then if it's February, when does the Whitaker fight actually happen with Adesanya? Maybe it's August.
Guy's always hurt too. Mm-hmm. Always hurt.
Yeah, that's a real problem. To tell is if Whitaker does get hurt, then Adesanya maybe faces somebody else, and that could be bad news for Adesanya. But if he faces Whitaker, I think that would be a great opportunity to bet Adesanya. I wonder what that fight would be lined, because I think it's a really favorable matchup for him. Like I said, I think he's a champion then. And then I kind of tend to believe that there may not be another fight in this division this year. I don't see 3 title fights at middleweight, so I'm going to go with Adesanya as the champion, make a consensus. But it's close because, I mean, you really nailed it. There are some matchups that are just not favorable. Like the Gastelum fight is not as favorable.
No,
I don't see the Weidman fight happening because, I mean, why would he fight Weidman? I mean, Jacare is kind of a scary fight too, although Jacare can be clipped on the feet, but on the ground it's like a real dangerous scenario.
There's another tough fight too. I don't think he'll get up that high, but fucking Cannonier down there jacked up, dude, looking like Terry Crews and shit. Yeah, I mean that motherfucker looked like a different cat, man. And I'm telling you, that dude's got skills. If he takes this shit seriously, like he looks like he is, he could be a problem down at 185, man. No bullshit. That dude tell me he didn't look like fucking Terry Crews running around with no shirt on, like loving it, like pumped up, dude. That guy looked fucking jacked.
That's a 2020 project, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
definitely, no doubt.
And I imagine someone else is going to emerge in this division. You got to wonder what's going to happen with YOLO too. I mean, have to think Borrachini is going to emerge as well.
Yeah,
He's just too talented, too much of a bulldozer not to win fight. He could get in the mix, beating one of these old guys. So it's an interesting division. I think middleweight's as interesting as it's been in a while. Light heavyweight, okay. Daniel Cormier
on the other end of the spectrum.
Daniel Cormier never gave up the title that he never should have gotten in the first place. John Jones took back his rightful title. John Jones is the actual light heavyweight champion. I said Cormier would be the champion. Brad said it would be vacant. Newshawn said Alexander Gustafsson. He had a shot at it. And then Wes said Daniel Cormier. So we actually all got that wrong. Newshawn, who is the champion of this division at the end of 2019?
It's John Jones. I mean, this is another case where I don't think they're gonna. He's gonna fight Smith, destroy him, and then my guess is the next fight's against DC at heavyweight. And
Corey Anderson.
I mean, he destroys him too if they put him with there. Like that's the thing. I just don't know what the roadmap looks like. Regardless, I think Jones has it. If he stays it and gets a bunch of fights at light heavyweight, he's going to beat up these scrubs, and then if he does go up and fight heavyweight against Cormier, I don't think they're going to strip him. So he's the light heavyweight champ unless he does John Jones things, which is always a possibility. You never know. He could be stripped at some point from some stupid shit. So you're playing with fire, picking John Jones, but I'll take him.
All right, Wes.
Yeah. My next couple of my picks here are entirely going to be based on a fuck up, not fucking up for the next 9
Playing
months or
with fire.
So, and I'm not talking about any kind of PEDs because I think we've seen now that it doesn't matter what.
Anything.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't matter much of what John Jones puts in his body. He's going to get away with it. It all depends on if he's out hitting people with cars and doing that other illegally dumb shit. So, he's going to have this belt at the end of the year. There's only one fight really in the light heavyweight division that I really care for right now with John, and it's not DC. I think he wins it, but I just would love to see him and Santos throw down. All these other guys they don't really interest me, man. I don't think Corey Anderson he'd get mauled, dude.
He'll lose in 2 rounds.
I can't. I just can't see it, man. There's just none of these guys even interest me. But I'm with Sean on the next weight class, so we'll talk about that when we get there.
I'm going to make a consensus. John Jones will be the champion in this division. I think this might actually... Well, I'm not going to get into the... These are part of my my predictions for 2019. We'll get to at the end of the show. But yeah, I'll say John Jones is the champion. Prove me otherwise. Heavyweight, the champion is Daniel Cormier. I can say that none of us took Daniel Cormier because I don't think any of us thought Daniel Cormier would actually fight at heavyweight. I said Hagano. Newshawn said Hagano. Wes said Hagano. Brad said Stipe. Well, yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway, 2019. Newshawn, who will be the champion of the most popular division in all of mixed martial arts?
It's John Jones. I think
Champ.
I think he gets the DC fight. He beats DC again and again and again, just like he always does. And then I don't know what they do with him next. Heavyweights a dumpster fire. That I don't think he fights Brock. That'll be one of my things for 2019. I guess maybe he fights. Man, that's a dumpster. I guess he fights Stipe, and I think he beats Stipe. I don't think Kane's, I don't think he's even going to make the walk again, so I'm not worried about him. So I think John Jones beats Cormier and defends it once against Stipe and ends with being the champ.
Okay. Wes.
Yeah, I think I agree with all that. I think John is going to fight in DC at heavyweight. They're absolutely going to fight again this year. There's no doubt in my mind that they will have that fight later on. I just think that DC probably believes it at this point that his best chance is up at heavyweight. He does seem to carry a little bit more power up at heavyweight, and I mean, I agree with him. I do give him the most minuscule more chance of beating John at heavyweight than I do at light heavyweight. But it still doesn't matter. He'll get beat up there too. I think that fight would be so late in the year that I think Jones will still have the belt, but I'm not sure that he fights again right now at heavyweight after that fight. I kind of think he wants to be down at light heavyweight right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do make the Stipe fight. Maybe they get. Maybe they make the Hagano fight. Maybe the Brock fight. I don't think that happens. I agree with Sean. He'll probably talk about it, but there's that possibility up there. So I'm not positive he'll stay at heavyweight, but I think he'll be champion here, and we'll have a couple true champs crown this past year, maybe three, I believe, if everything goes how I'm predicting. So, yeah, the greatest fighter of all time keeps on proving why he's the greatest fighter of all time, and all your favorite greatest fighter of all times have all done steroids. So go fuck yourself.
I feel like we've done this a lot tonight, but I'm going to make it a consensus here as well. I'm going to say that John Jones truly proves his greatness and is a no doubt number one fighter of all time, taking the heavyweight belt. I mean, what else is there for him to do? He could fight Anthony Smith. He may even fight Corey Anderson. Then there's no one there for him, and then he takes on a fight at heavyweight against Cormier, who's still the champion at that point, and that's the perfect matchup for him to win the title and to end that stupid feud.
Santos, I think Santos is a good fight down at light heavyweight for him. I'm
not saying it's not, but it seems like there's a little bit of bullshit going on. They're like, well, maybe we could play with that. And John, I think they want to keep John active, and the easiest way to do that is to give him fairly easy fights.
Yeah, they need to keep him in the cage. Yep. Because when he's in the cage, maybe the only thing he's doing is a little blow or something on the weekends. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
They keep his ass in the gym and in the cage. He seems to stay out of the major bullshit. So, he said he wants to fight 4 times this year. Hopefully, we see that.
Well, I'll believe that when I see it. I think he said 3, but
well, he could have 2 in a matter of months. So
sure.
Hopefully that's a good track. I think, though, the DC fight is coming in the fall. That's going to happen. We're going to see that fight.
Could be next December. Wouldn't be a surprise at all. So now we're up to our breakout performers in each weight division. Last year we skipped over the women's divisions. I don't know if that's what you guys want to do or not.
Sounds good to me.
Sean, I know you want to skip. Wes, do you have anyone you want to mention in these divisions?
There's really only one chick that you could even consider a breakout girl in any of these divisions, and Sean touched on it earlier. Tatiana Suarez is, I believe,
one. Ranked 4, Wes. You can't break out when you're ranked 4.
You can when these divisions are pretty much dominated by about 5 chicks. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that if you're right, it's still, if what happens, that's a breakout. You know what I'm saying? Because most people have never even heard of her. So, but yeah, besides that, there's nothing else to talk about.
I will say I'll leave it to one fighter. I think the breakout female fighter of 2019. She had a pretty good start to her UFC career in 2018. Is Macy Barber, and the strawweight division looked like a pretty savage-looking strawweight, really young, pretty physically imposing fighter. Obviously, still a bit raw, but I think there's a lot to her. I think she could be a threat moving forward and marketable as well. So look for her to break out with another maybe 2 or 3 win year and move into the top 10 of that division. All right. Flyweight, I guess we'll skip because we all believe it's going to be abandoned. But I'll say that all 3 of us chose Pantoja as the breakout fighter in that division. Brad chose some guy called Pedro Manga, who I don't even know who that is.
He was on his lunch break.
That's a Brad pick right there.
So Pantoja, I think, is he in the top 10 of the flyweight division or the bantamweight division, or I guess that is flyweight. Sorry, I think he is, right.
Yeah, he's number 7.
So that's pretty good. So not too bad. So bantamweight, definitely some variety here. I said Tom Duquesnoy, not his best year, a little disappointing. Brad said Ricardo Ramos, okay. Sean said Saeed Nurmagomedov, a Habib disciple.
Saeed?
And then Wes said Brett Johns. I guess that doesn't look as good in hindsight either. So a tough year for us.
Yeah.
All right.
He got beat by Pedro Munoz and Aljo. I mean,
that's
some tough fights.
0-2 is tough, though. Sorry. New bantamweight breakout fighter. Who do you have?
I'm going to steal Brad's from last year. I'm going to take Ricardo Ramos.
Wow.
He didn't really fight much last year. He's not currently ranked right now, but that dude his jiu-jitsu is sick. I'm pretty pissed that we didn't get to see him when me and Wes and Jerry and Trish all met up and watched the fights in Denver. I was kind of excited for that fight, but I think he gets a couple of sick subs in the year and he'll crack the top 15, maybe top 10.
Okay. That's tough to do in that division. Wes, who do you have here?
Yeah, I had that written down. We were probably on the same page because of the same the same scenario. But yeah, I'd probably go Ramos. I think it's easy to. It's easy to put Jan in that category, but I think I don't know. He's been around. I've seen him a while, so I'd kind of put him up there too. I think he could have a breakout year, but so way off the board. That's I was looking for. So I'm going to say Ramos as well if he can get the fights. I don't know what happened last year. I know that one fight got canceled. We were supposed to go to. So yeah, I'll go Ramos.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit, even though he's ranked. I'm going to say Peter Yan, ranked 14th. I think there's a very high ceiling for him. I think this will be the year where he truly breaks out. He'll be well within the top 10 of this weight class, and I think he'll actually headline his first event at some point in 2019.
He's good.
He's good, really good.
Only other guy I was thinking of was Nathaniel Wood. He looked pretty good last time.
Yeah, that was my second pick. That was my second pick.
Yep.
Good choice. Featherweight, Wes, we didn't have a pick for you. I'm not sure what happened there.
Because Wes was probably picking guys that were in the top 10.
Oh, is that what we did again? Yeah, I probably did say something like that. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, Brian Ortega or something. Yeah. It's probably what he did. I said
I think I had Zabit last year.
Yeah, I think we all had Zabit or something.
I had Zabit. Brad had Zabit.
Yeah,
Sean had some Canadian bias with Hakeem Dawodu.
I went off the board because everybody was on Zabit.
Rank
Sean.
Jay.
Let's
his
see.
ass.
It's Canadian number 7. I mean, what are we talking about here? Who's higher, him or Brad Katona? He might have passed Ohm in his last outing.
He's not SBG, so he's definitely higher than
that's fair.
Maybe 6th. Not as high as the Rougeau brothers.
It was hard for me to find kind of a prospect breakout guy that's kind of just outside the top 15 in the UFC. I ended up with Calvin Cutter. He had an okay 2018. I think he's shown some decent skills. Maybe he can get a couple nice wins and get up there.
Okay, Wes, I'm curious to see where you're going with this one. Don't say Alex Volkanovski, okay?
Nah, since he's still down there, I'm going to go back to Zabit.
Oh, what?
Zabit's only ranked 14.
Can we DQ this?
But
Can we
still.
DQ him here?
Man, like...
It is Jan, but that seems like a terrible ranking for him. I mean, it got to be honest. Zabit should be ranked like 5, maybe 4.
I mean, if they're going to rank him at 14, I got to take him.
You can take him. If you're happy about that, you can take him.
I'm not happy about it. They're ranking him at 14. This is like the other one. I think this is a hard division to find guys outside the top 20 or so. I mean,
it feels like the top 15 is just absolutely stacked, and then just there's not too much outside that.
Yeah, I mean, Cutter's a good pick. I mean, but I don't know. We've even seen quite a bit of him. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to stick with Zabit. There's a chance that he could get a title shot this year. So to go from ranked 14th to maybe having a title shot in the second half of the year, that would be a pretty big breakout. But it's just hard that this is a division that's great in the top 15, 17, and then it really falls off. So, yeah, I'm going to have to stick with Zabit.
I'm going to go off grid because I usually have to do that at some point. I'm going to take a guy who was on the Dana White Contender Series and debuted in this fall and won by first round knockout in devastating fashion. That is, what is his nickname? I believe is his nickname. Super Sodiq Youssef.
Yeah,
although he's a Lloyd Irvin prodigy, which I don't like. I don't like promoting that type of.
You're disqualified, Jake.
But I mean, the talent's there. He's only 25. He looked good in his debut in a division that doesn't seem to actually, surprisingly, doesn't have that many prospects at this point. I think the prospects that there were like 2 years ago kind of materialized, and there's really not much space for these other guys.
There's no backfill.
Yeah, now there's no backfill, or we haven't seen it yet. So I'm going to go with Sodiq Youssef here as one of my more speculative picks overall. Lightweight.
I'm going to do it again, too.
This is something else. I chose Jared Gordon. This is not good. Brad said Grigor Gillespie. Okay. New Sean said Rashid Magomedov. He's not even in the promotion anymore.
He's losing in fucking PFL.
He got robbed, though.
That's a double woof for you. And Wes said David Tamer. Okay. Okay. All right. All right, New Sean. Let's see how creative you get here.
I wasn't planning on getting too creative. I think mine and Wes's picks from last year are pretty decent. Gregor Gillespie, Brad's
pick was Rashid Magomedov.
Yeah, not mine. Sorry, Brad's and Wes's.
Yeah.
Gregor Gillespie, he's ranked 14th. He didn't fight. I don't feel like that much last year. He had, what did he have? 2 fights. Yeah. I think he makes a big step this year. He looked pretty good in what we did see of him. I would have went with Tamer, but then I saw who he's matched up with next, and I think he might have a tough start to the 2019.
All right, Wes. I'm curious to see where you go here.
Yeah, I mean, the ranking, I don't care about the ranking here. Like, Gregor is going to break out this year. I don't like that they're giving him a just absolute trash can matchup next time out. And I totally agree with Sean about Tamer, too. I think Tamer...
Yancy Medeiros is a trash can matchup?
I mean, for Gregor at this point, I mean, that dude's
I feel like Yancey's like 2 weight classes bigger than him, though.
Man, it's not going to matter. That guy's going to dump him on his head, man. I mean, Gregor is fucking awesome, man. That guy's legit. It's going to be a breakout for him this year. He just now got ranked not long ago, which, I mean, the rankings don't mean much, but he's going to make a massive leap this year. He's got to get the fights, though. And I like Tamer, too. I think he could make a big jump this year too. I like that pick from last year, but man, that's a really fucking tough out on his first fight this year against fucking Doe Bronx, man. I mean, I'm not sure he's gonna win that fight, to be honest, man. So I like both of those guys though to still make jumps. Tamer's really, really good, but I gotta say Gregor, man. I don't care that he's right around 15th. A lot of these divisions are getting these lighter divisions. The top 15, 20 are great, man. The older guys are starting to get old, and those prospects that were right out there are starting to hit that top 15 now. So it's kind of harder to find those guys way down there. But this is Gregor's year to show out, I believe.
I agree. This is going to be the sink or swim for him. I still think it's undersized for this weight class, and that could prove to be a problem. But you got to prove it first. I'm going to go again off the grid to a Russian fighter, Damir Ismagulov. He debuted earlier in 2018. A really high level prospect. Let me just pull up some numbers here. Let me just pull up some info on him. He's 17-1, 27 years old. Dominated his opponent, who was this guy Alex Gordon, who's not very good, but it just kind of reminded me of a little bit of Zabit, and just has a lot of different wrinkles in his game. Can grapple a bit. I could see him easily going 2 or 3-0 this year, and just looking good and moving on up. So again, a speculative pick. But I'll go with Damir Ismagulov. Welterweight, we had different picks across the board. I went with Bilal Muhammad. Okay. Brad had Habib's brother. Nushan went with his favorite Asian fighter, Li Jiangalang.
Undefeated.
And Wes went with Vicente Luque. Okay.
Those aren't
I'm not sure. I'm not sure any really broke out, but all had, I think, an above average year. So let's see if we can do a little better in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Nushan, where are we going this year?
I'm gonna go with the guy that I expected to finish his last fight. I lost some money on it, but I'm gonna go with Ramazan Ameev.
Not a terrible pick.
He definitely has the skills. I worry a bit about his killer instinct. I feel like he should have finished a couple of his fights that he was in. He's been to some decisions, so that kind of sucks. But he's matched up against Tractor Prazeres, so that's a big fight for him. If he can beat Prazeres, that'll be a big step up for him. All
right. Okay, off the grid. Wes, what is your choice?
I have no idea. You're going to have to go, Jay. These next couple I'm kind of behind, man, so I'm going to have to put those in.
Okay, then. Wes is short on words. I'm going to go with a veteran fighter, a veteran to MMA, but relatively new to the UFC, and fought 2 veterans in his first 2 UFC fights. Didn't finish, but completely dominated his opponents. Alexei Kunchenko is my choice. I think he's a solid all-around fighter. Never been close to being beat in the UFC. Fought name fighters. Should get more name fighters moving forward. And I think he's a legitimate top 15 fighter in this weight class. So I think he finally gets his due, gets his ranking, and actually gets maybe a pay-per-view fight at some point in 2019. Middleweight, this was different. I had Trevin Giles. I guess he just wasn't active enough. Brad went with Ed Ruth. That does not look good now.
New Sean went with Eric Anders, not so good. And Wes completely cheated the system.
Yep.
With 3 fighters, Eric Anders, Morachina, and Stylebender. Okay, way to go. Congratulations. I guess you won and you lost. All right, New Sean, keep it to 1 fighter, please.
There wasn't too much here, I didn't think. I'm gonna go with Jordan Johnson. I know we were kind of high on him, and then he didn't really show much at light heavy. And then he made his middleweight debut. He was fighting a guy that was absolute trash and was able to finish him. But maybe this is just a better weight class for him. Maybe he'll prove us right after kind of prove us right after, and then I don't know. I think he'll do better at 185. But I don't know. Not a great pick by me, but I'll take a shot.
Okay. Wait a second. I'm reading something now. The UFC is looking to book a welterweight fight between Colby Covington and Darren Till.
Till gonna need another fucking enema after fighting Colby. Colby gonna be the human enema.
And they want that. And they want that to headline the London card. Okay. All right, where were we?
Middleweight. Wes, you got anything for middleweight?
Yeah, I'd written down Cannonier before I kind of even looked at rankings and shit. And,
fine.
He's have that one. Nah, I don't want that one. I'll go way out there and say a guy. What's that cat's name? Hold on, let me look at it.
Shit. Now he's going off the board.
Rare.
Isn't he's like English? Jim Crute. I'm gonna go Jim Crute.
Is he a middleweight or a light heavyweight?
Oh fuck, he's a light heavyweight.
Are you going back to Cannonier? You're going back to the Alaskan Jew?
Yeah, put Cannonier down.
There we go. He was mine
right.
from like last year in the next one.
Yeah, I thought he was. They kind of ranked him down towards 15th or so. Man, he's
actually higher than that. He's number 9.
Yeah, no, it's what I'm saying. I thought he was he was ranked lower than that because didn't he switch to 185 and he was ranked he did win though.
You just smash David Branch, you get in the top 10. That's the way it goes.
That's right. That's how to do it.
That's why it is. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put that.
Yeah,
down.
we'll shit on you next year. It's okay.
There's not a lot in this division coming up that's already not established because anybody pretty decent's already in the rankings discussion. I'm going to go with Carl Roberson, pretty heavy striker. Came off of the Dana White Contender Series, looked good in his last fight, and get some pretty favorable striking matchups. Should get another win or two, and he could be in the discussion, be ranked as well. So I'm going to go with that. Light heavyweight, this was all over the board. I had Dominic Reyes. That's a winner,
nice
I believe.
One. Oh yeah,
I think that's the winner. Brad did not have anybody. New Sean had Tyson Pedro. Wolf City. Oh, that's terrible. And Wes had Gazimurad Antagulov. All right, let's see if you guys can improve here. If you can match me, get the top pick in this weight class. All right, New Sean.
This was kind of close between two guys that I think are both pretty flawed, and I don't really want to pick them, but there's not much at light heavy. I'm going to go with the choke artist himself, Magomed Ankalaev, the guy that taps with 1 second left in a fight after just dummying the Bear Jew.
But his second fight looked pretty good.
Second fight looked very good. Maybe it's one of those things where he
was it his third fight?
I think that was his third. I don't know.
I think it might be his third.
But maybe just getting that loss out of the way. Now he doesn't have an undefeated record, and maybe he'll learn from that, and he'll get some big wins in 2019. I don't know.
All right.
That's a good pick. Wes.
I'm gonna go with that pasty white motherfucker, Jim Crute.
I'm gonna write down the pasty white motherfucker, Jim Crute. That is.
Put an asterisk next to this one because we're probably gonna be laughing about this next year.
Oh, it's gonna be good.
Dude, I was so behind this week, man. I'm literally these last three. I'm like searching. They're hard too, man. You can't tell me these ain't fucking like shallow ass divisions, man. We're talking heavyweight, light heavyweight and shit.
Betcha.
Come on, man. Come on.
I'm going to go with Nushan's choice as well, Magomed Ankalaev. I think he has the highest ceiling of anybody outside of that top 15 at light heavyweight. He had that one bizarro loss to Paul Craig. Really looked good in his next fight. There's a lot of skills and tools that he possesses. He should be ranked by this time next year inside of the top 12, I'm going to say, in light heavyweight. Heavyweights. Interesting. I had Justin Willis. I think that's probably the winner here.
Yeah.
Brad had Justin Willis, but he also had Arhan Bueller, Canadian pound for pound number 9. Not good. Nushan had Tai Tuivasa.
Not bad.
He
Could be worse.
Event, but yeah, it didn't end up well.
And Wes was looking great with Alexander Volkov, and then until ... All right, Nushan.
I think
there's only one answer here.
There's one answer. I'm not. It's not going to be my answer. I'm going with the same thing I had last year. I think Tuivasa is going to learn. He's still a young dude. He's going to learn that you can't just fucking do what he did against JDS. And he's going to come back and starch a couple shitty heavyweights next year and be in the top, I don't know, 7.
Isn't he already established, though?
I mean, he's 11th.
Right.
He did get a. He was main eventing. It's kind of a weak choice. What does Wes got?
There's only one answer here. Wes, let's hear it.
Man, I have no idea.
I don't know. Maybe we don't know what the hell we're doing.
I don't. I'm behind on this. There's not much. I don't really know. Like I'm looking through now, and it's like I don't know. You go, Jay. Who do you think?
There's one answer here. He hasn't even debuted in the UFC yet. He debuts in the next event.
God.
It is Greg Hardy. That is
the
only conceivable answer.
He's
It
right.
is the answer. I mean, this is the definition of breakout.
Yeah, it should have been.
We said a breakout fighter. He's not even on the board, and he's going to be the highest profile fighter in this division, possibly by the end of the year. He's gonna start off by starching Alan Crowder. That's going to get him off to a good start. Then he'll get on TV in his next bout, fight someone a little better, knock his ass out, and then it's probably going to be on pay-per-view the fight after that. And then,
put me down for the watch beater.
3 dudes, it's going to happen. Second choice could be Juan Adams.
Yeah, I guess that was the other one. Juan Adams.
That's not bad, but we were talking about next level athletes here. So, I mean, Harvey's the only real opportunity here.
Jay was dead on with this one. Like, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There should only
I
been.
don't know how I missed that one. That was bad.
There should only been one answer on that one. Jay's absolutely right.
Yep.
All right, so our last portion. So we'll put all those down. We'll keep notes of them. We'll bring this back up in our show next year. I guess Wes didn't have any 2018 predictions, but Nushan and I did. So my first one, I had 3. Nushan had 2. My first one was the UFC sells rights to fights to digital provider. That's a winner.
Sorta, yeah, that's pretty much.
Nushan's first choice, UFC pay-per-view in Hawaii.
Nope.
There's been talk, but it never happened.
Bellator went over there, but no pay-per-view. But they got a big card over there. 2.
My second choice, UFC hosts pay-per-view in Russia. Well, they hosted an event in Russia, but it wasn't pay-per-view. So
hey, they got one over there though. That was
half right.
That was a good call though. To get an event in Russia finally was legit.
New Sean said John Jones gets less than 2 years suspension. Well, that's 100%
That
correct.
is a winner.
Yeah.
And then my final choice was Joe Rogan stops commentating. Well, that's sort of true.
It's close.
Damn,
Because what he's doing now is something else, not commentating. It's
doing
just,
like 8 pay-per-views a year. That's about it.
and when
now
he's there, he's completely biased.
Now I think he's going and like putting $5,000 on each fight because he's totally got a side.
Yeah.
Every fucking fight now. It's incredible. I mean, he's ruined Paul Felder. Like, he ruined that dude.
He does that to everybody, though. Like,
Yeah,
everybody he's
all of
commentating with, they don't want to be
Felder was
confrontational,
good.
so they don't, like, say, like, no, that's not really happening.
Yeah.
They just kind of go along with it, and then it turns into shit show that we've seen.
Felder was just, like, getting really good. Like, you could see that dude was
I
growing
think he'll
into...
still be good away from him. If
Yeah,
Felder
they
does a
need
fight
to-
night card, he'll be fine.
They need to keep him as far away from Rogan as possible. That dude is...
Cruz was doing the same thing with Rogan. I think it's just a Rogan thing. Rogan says just shit that's not happening, and everybody just agrees with him because they don't want to conflict with him.
That is the truth. All right, so predictions. Do you guys have predictions set up? Or you're going to make them as we go along? How do you want to do this?
I got a couple. I don't think
Okay.
they're anything too wild.
Should we do one at a time and do that way, or each
Sure.
person?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, New Sean, give us your first prediction for 2019.
I think before the end of the year, we're going to see a 165 and 175 division. I think the champion, whoever it is at 170, is going to go up, and then somebody's going to fight for the 165 belt by the end of the year.
Okay, that's plausible. Wes?
I don't have too many predictions. I will comment on that. I think that's coming for sure. The other weight classes sooner rather than later. So maybe by the end of this year. I don't know. I guess a couple things. Maybe I think John Jones will fight a few times this year. I mean, like that might not sound like something that should be outrageous, but actually it is.
Are we talking three or more? Is what you're trying to say?
I think he fights at least 3 times.
All right,
Because
we'll put you down for 3+ fights.
I think he definitely fights Anthony Smith for sure, and I think sometime this year he'll fight DC. If he gets one in there before DC or after, who knows? But I think we'll see Bones in the cage 3 times this year.
That was actually my first prediction, that John Jones will fight more than once in 2019. Yes, which is hard to do.
Easier. That's a little easier though, because it's going to be pretty hard
Yes,
for
it
him.
does. No, I think the last time that happened was like 2014 or something. So,
But see, the only reason I say it is because he's got the Anthony Smith fight literally lined up for what, like 6 weeks away or a couple months.
exactly.
But it's John Jones. I mean,
If I had to guess how they're going to do it, it's going to be Anthony Smith, and then there'll be a second fight, probably, maybe even the July pay-per-view, and then there will be the Cormier fight in December. That's what I think is going to play out.
I'm putting you down for 3+. You can't pull that 2+ shit, Jay. Come on now.
Fine.
yeah, not when he's got one lined up for like.
Fine. All right, New Sean, give us your second prediction.
All right, the Brock fight. Brock's not going to fight ever again in the UFC.
Oh, well, you mean this year?
This year, I mean, you can put it down for later in that. I don't think he fights again.
I
It's
think you're right.
completely a bargaining chip. He re-upped with the WWE and got some more money. I just don't think that DC fight ever happens. Like we haven't heard of it at all since it happened. Like they announced it and then there's been nothing. I just don't see it happening.
Well, and another big reason I think that he definitely doesn't fight like this year or soon is the whole thing with that disappearing fucking drug test and all that shit.
And
like,
he has to pay $250,000 if he wants to fight again.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors, and you're right about but he always does this around contract time with the WWE every single time. But I think, he did get back into the drug testing protocol, which was assigned to everybody. And I think there was probably going to be a fight in the works. And then, man, some shady shit started happening with his drug test. And that shit got silent real fast. The fight was done. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think we've seen, definitely not this year. And he's getting past his shit. Isn't there I know he's still pretty popular in wrestling, right, Jay? But there's other guys that are surpassed him in popularity in wrestling now. He's still
a big deal.
Right?
His contract is so limited. He only has to show up 10 times a year.
Yeah,
other guys got to be there every week and doing that type of thing. So
yeah.
My next prediction, or is Wes's next? I think he's Wes. Do you have
another one or not?
I don't know about a prediction, maybe more of a statement. I think we see. I think this will be the year that we see it'll still be a pretty decent accomplishment, but I think the whole aura around being the champ kind of starts wearing off after this year. Because I think we're going to see it with TJ. We just had it with Emmanuel Nunez. I think we're going to see it with John Jones. So I just think
it's played out. Champ's played out.
We're gonna more look at it as they're just fighting the best competition around them that they can. Because we are seeing some of the greatest fighters and athletes that we've ever seen in the sport, and they're kind of a little group of them in almost every division that are they're rising above everybody else. You're actually seeing the best, and once those guys are cleaning shit out like Max and Khabib even and stuff like that, you got to start looking at fighting just your best competition around you. So I think the whole champ thing kind of wears off, even especially with how it's been done lately with the whole fucking everybody's got a fucking Cracker Jack box interim title and everything else. So that the shine of that kind of even though I think we're going to see it couple more times this year,
and that might actually contribute to it wearing off.
Yeah.
Once it's happened a bunch of times, it's not as big a deal, right?
Yep, I remember talking when it was BJ and Dan Henderson, and those were amazing accomplishments that guys have done that. Now it's just you're just fighting the best guy you can. I mean, all y'all have a fucking shiny little trinket around your waist now, so. But it does kind of suck because coming from being a huge boxing fan and them kind of going to that motto of all kinds of belts and shit, man, titles used to really fucking matter. Having a belt used to fucking matter, man. Even in MMA it just doesn't seem to matter as much anymore. Just it's more of a bargaining tool now. Even the fighters,
more money. That's about it.
Yeah. That's all it is. Most of them could care less. And I mean, some of the smarter fighters have made that decision long ago. I mean, guys like the Diaz brothers and shit, think about them however you want. They never gave a fuck about a title. You know what I'm saying? And look at all the money that those guys have made. They never gave a fuck about a belt. Now more guys are catching on to that. No, it's a bargaining tool.
Okay. My second prediction is that a UFC title bout will take place and air on over-the-air ESPN at some point in 2019.
That's a pretty good bet, I would believe. Yeah.
Yep. There's this Dillashaw Cejudo fights on the ESPN Plus platform to promote that, but I'm talking about on ESPN Network on television. I'm not sure what division it'll be, but I think it will happen. All right, Nushan, any other predictions?
I got two. I'll just go with I think GSP comes back for one more fight and he fights Khabib.
Damn, that's going a little bit out there, I guess.
Yeah, that was one. That one and the other one I had was pretty out there.
What's the other one?
The other one was a Diaz brother gets traded to Bellator.
Traded? That's not
Yeah.
happening.
Oh,
Yep.
Traded? I don't
Yep.
think they'll ever do anything with Bellator.
That's why I was out there.
That is out there. Wes, you have any other thoughts?
nah. I would say I'm not sure GSP ever fights again, man. I think he came and did his thing, got a good chunk again, kind of. I think he played Dana and them a little bit,
Yep.
rightfully so, with the whole Bisping thing and shit. Got a great matchup, chunk of money, did it on his terms. Dana ran around afterwards talking about GSP fighting this guy, and then GSP's like, nah, fuck that. I ain't fighting nobody right now. And then Dana is doing the day thing. GSP don't want to fight. He ain't a fighter. And GSP's sitting back with a big-ass chocolate ice cream cone, smiling in the camera. I'm not sure he fights again, man. But, it's the fight game, dude, and GSP seems to be living pretty smart, with his bankroll. Still has some decent endorsement deals, but I mean, you never know, man. With GSP, I think it'll always be about the competition, though. I don't think that guy's going to need money, which that makes it a lot less likely that guys take fights. If it's not about the money, most of those guys are like, fuck that. Most of the time, it's about the money, and they got to. Don't think it is with GSP.
My actual third prediction actually has to do with George St. Pierre.
Oh, shit.
Oh.
The prediction is that George St. Pierre will headline his last ever pay-per-view in 2019.
Oh, you think next year, this year, huh? Oh, shit. Y'all on the same page then.
I don't know who it will be, but I think he'll do one more payday, but he's going to get beat against whoever this fighter happens to be, and that'll be the end of the road for him.
Boy, Bo gonna put like a hex on you, man. He gonna be losing it. You think you talking? You might get blocked. He's blocked lesser. He's blocked lesser people than you, dude. Over
The greatest Caucasian fighter of all time, as he would say.
He's probably.
That's
He's probably right. Probably not. Well, I don't know. Jay would probably say that Dagestani guy from the other side of the world.
He doesn't have the resume that St. Pierre has yet.
Yeah, GSP's. You gotta look at him.
He hasn't lost since last decade.
You gotta look at him past wins and losses too. I think because that dude's he's kind of a sport changer. I mean, Canadian MMA is probably as good as it is. Small part because of GSP. So, yeah, he's not beating Khabib, man. Come on.
I don't see them even fighting, to be honest with you.
Nah, GSP's smarter than that, I think. I really think he is. He's smarter than that. That's a bad matchup for him, man. Come on. That's...
Yeah.
You got any other ones, Wes?
Who do you think GSP? Who would you put him in there with, Jay?
Askren?
You got to think it's a paper. You want him to headline a pay-per-view. Probably what, man? Air Canada, some try to sell play GSP's
Vegas.
last. Nah, he'll put him up north. GSP's last fight. I mean, imagine that.
Wait, couldn't he fight McNutty? I mean, is that possible?
He doesn't want to fight McNutty.
Yeah,
Why? He go win that fight.
I know, but he says supposedly, like from what I've listened to him talk, he doesn't care about money, and he doesn't really care about he doesn't think that McNutty fight is a fair one. He's like, it does nothing for my legacy. He's already been smashed by Khabib. He got beat by a Diaz. That's nothing
true
to him. So
it's a good matchup for George.
I really think the only guys he fights are Khabib or Askren. If Askren somehow. I could
about
see this.
Woodley?
No, he won't fight Woodley.
Yeah, he might get destroyed.
You see,
I think the way he fights Askren is if Woodley beats Usman and continues winning, and obviously Askren's not going to fight Woodley. So if Askren rattles off a couple wins early in the year, maybe that fight comes about because he's like, I'm not going to fight Woodley for the 170 belt, so maybe he'll fight GSP.
Did you see that Connor is going back and forth with Zahabi a little bit now?
I've heard about some nonsense, but I didn't know what it was about.
Maybe trying to sell. Hey, I'd like to see it.
More likely, Connor's hit a couple rails, and
absolutely,
he's doing some tweeting while
tweaking.
Tweaking. Yeah, that would be my guess.
Oh shit! Hashtag tweeting while tweaking.
Yeah.
Stay out of those fucking tree houses, Connor. You fucking crazy motherfucker. Oh, God.
I think it's going to be a good year. I like. It was kind of a down year. A lot of champs didn't fight much. I think 2019 is going to be a better year.
Last 6 months.
Deal. I think a lot of the divisions are in a good situation for some interesting fights. I think it's going to be a good year.
I thought the last 4 or 5 months was great.
Yeah.
I thought
it's just
it ended
the start
like
of the year was trash.
Was
man.
bad. Yep, was really bad. It was
so many fights fell apart, and there was just not
more
good
than ever
reviews, and so
I think homie for Junkie tweeted that out yesterday or something most cancellations ever of
co-main, right?
Main and co-main, yeah.
That's
but
wild.
I think that stretch at the beginning of the year is maybe as bad ever. It was so bad. The last 4 or 5 months, the second half of the year was great, man. Some of the fights we saw, the upsets, just so many great fights, great cards. Hell, ended it with arguably one of the cards of the year. So, taking that and moving into 2019 and the ESPN thing, I mean, we'll see. We're going to get a lot of fights, man. I think we talked about it to start the show. They're starting hot with some stacked stuff, but man, can they maintain that? That's been their problems at points of the year, man. We'll get good stuff. But I think the end of the year, like the second half of the year, it was another kind of, we had a bunch of those cards where like, these are, it's a horrible card. And then all the hardcores like us are, well, on paper, it could be violence. All of those cards turned up in being great. You know what I'm saying? So you're going to need a lot more of that in 2019 because, man, you talk about a watered-down product. This shit is going to be like getting $5 drinks at the bowling alley. This shit's going to be fucking... It's going to be a watered-down product this year, man. They're going to have to put on a ton of fights. So
far, so good, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we'll worry about that in the middle of the year when there's just nothing for good fights. They're stacking the first half of the year.
Yeah, we know this year's going to start way better than it did last year.
Yep.
It's got to.
Yep.
Unless John Jones goes out there and starts wrecking into everybody, and Connor and his boys show up geeked out, throwing chairs and shit at people. What a wild.
It could happen. It is
MMA. It was a wild year, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit.
Yes, sir.
Now we got one of the biggest stars at MMA gonna be fighting Paulie Malignaggi and shit.
Maybe you think he could beat Malignaggi? I mean, I don't know. I mean, Malignaggi is such a mook.
Paulie's washed. I tell you what, Connor's got a good chance against Paulie because Paulie's he's washed. I mean, he really is. But I'm telling
Connor's bigger than him.
Yeah, he's bigger. He's got way more power. I mean, Paulie never had fucking big power.
And washed him.
He's still 10 times a boxer. Connor is though. Like, you better believe that.
And I'm mad.
Connor's got a chance. He's definitely got a chance. That's why he wants that fight.
Yeah,
he wouldn't take it if he couldn't win it.
Yeah, that's why he wants that fight. Yeah, there's not no Floyd money in that, but I'm telling you, he can make fucking that shit would sell. Conor boxing again would fucking sell, man. He's gonna make fucking $10 million fighting Paulie. There's only a few guys I think he could get that kind of money in MMA. I mean, why not Why not box a fucking washed up 40-something-year-old boxer for that kind of money? You know?
Yeah, why not? And if you win, there's a lot of upside.
I give it to Conor, man. That dude he's one of the best businessmen this sport's ever seen. That dude he's taking advantage of every fucking thing, man. That dude wasn't handed a lot. He's taking advantage of fucking all of it, man.
Yep.
Props to that dude. That dude's running around slinging some of the most rot gut fucking whiskey on the planet, and people are buying it. They're buying it.
You've tried it? Have you tried it?
No.
How do you know it's terrible? How do you know?
You don't.
It's hate
Dude,
speed.
I am from Kentucky. I can fucking look at that shit and tell you that is some rot gut fucking whiskey.
Rot gut.
That's a new one.
That's a new one for me too.
Hey, props to him though, man. The motherfuckers out there buying that shit by the case. I've heard people that drank it though, and it's like, whoa,
Wow.
Like, whoa.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It's not Kentucky approved. That's for darn sure.
Yeah. Props to McGregor though, man. That dude had another big year, man.
Man, West didn't call him McNutty. That's weird. Well, New Sean, do you think this is like a New Year's resolution?
Yeah, we'll see. It's not going to
Get
last
back
long.
Give it time.
Yeah, that's one of those New
Can
Year's
we-
resolutions that lasts about 3 weeks and then it fucking dies.
We go back and thank the MMA Twitter nerds one more time about some of those lines we got this year. Khabib line against McNutty and
Khabib,
Justin Gaethje
against
Vic.
Vic, Woodley against Darren Till.
Still, was Frankie this year? Was Frankie against what was our boy?
What
Was
about Woodley against Maya? That was a woof. Was that this year too?
Frankie against
but that wasn't-
Yair?
No,
Wasn't that-
Frank against Yair was like 2 years. It was like for sure at least a year ago.
That's last year.
But those are the 3 big ones I think I remember. You know, Twitter was going off. Those were just can't miss paydays that were very, very much appreciated to the Twitter nerds.
Oh, and of course, Floyd and Connor. Or that was last year.
That was last year.
Oh, that was we can never forget. That's an all-timer.
That's an all-timer. Yep.
Right. That just about does it. This was a fun episode. We'll look at this in another 365 days and see
Laugh
what
it
we
off.
did right and see what we got wrong. There was a lot of consensus this year, so we're either going to be looking great or we're going to be
Dead wrong.
dead wrong. We'll be back next week with our first fight breakdown of the year for the first ever UFC on ESPN show.
Possibly with the Toutmaster champion?
Possibly with the Toutmaster
Oh.
champion, Canadian
Oh,
Toutmaster
Chubb.
champion.
Ah,
It might be
come
Canadian.
on.
I can't confirm that or deny that, but he might be Canadian pound for pound number 1.
There it
That's
is.
why he's half Chubb.
Half he is that. Yeah, exactly. He only gets half up in Canada.
It's cold up there, dog.
Fuck, that's a good payout
yeah.
in Canadian dollars because the Canadian dollar
Yeah.
is shit right now, and he got paid out in U.S. dollars, so that's a nice little chunk of change he got there.
He got paid out in Bitcoin.
Yeah, you gotta shout it out again, Jay. They ain't got long. Sign up.
Toutmaster, we got another 1 week of sign up?
Yeah, 4 or 5 days left to sign up for Toutmaster. We're at roughly 80 sign ups so far. I'm expecting a mad rush,
At the end.
Saturday and
Always.
Sunday into the end. I'm sure we'll get over 100 again. Not expecting as much as last year. I just think there's more things out there. The Gamble Master taking some some people focusing
DraftKings.
on that. DraftKings, draft, all those different fantasy type of entities. So, but yeah, we should be looking at 100 plus again. Pretty sizable pretty sizable prize pool, and another fun year. So I'm looking forward to it. It'll be our 5th year doing it. Reach out to me if you need contest rules, how to get your entry in. If you want to know more about the contest, you got 4 days to sign up. So yeah, we'll have those. We'll have that completed by the end of by Sunday, and then we're 1 week away from the first event. We'll send out links to how to enter your picks early next week, and then you'll be able to start making your picks either Wednesday or Thursday of fight week. So it can be a pretty busy time ahead. Looking forward to next week's fights. Debut of Greg Hardy. Pretty pumped about that. Title fight. It's going to be fun. Until next week, we'll see you then.